Hey guys, we're just gonna do a quick card by card here for this little adventure pile. There's a lot of ways you can kind of build it. This is a bit more of a Tempro variant, I feel like. Uh, if you want to be a bit more aggressive, you could probably add in some Mega Copicteriumons. You could probably add in some of the Wargrey Aces as well, if you want to be like a bit more of a control style. There's a lot of ways you can kind of build the list. I just really like the aggression that the Matt and TK Tamer gives with the ability to just rush and just continue swinging down on your opponent. It feels really, really good. But yeah, let's get into it. So we're playing 4 Sunomons. Just on deletion, you may return 1 Digimon card with Adventure Trait from your trash to your hand. So you can't be adding Tamers back, unfortunately. If something does end up getting milled, which is tragic. But that aside, being able to cycle your pieces pretty consistently feels really good. And then we are playing a total of 11 rookies. We've got 4 Biomon on play, reveal top 3, add 1 Digimon card with the Adventure Trait and 1 such Tamer card or option card among them to your hand, return the rest to the bottom of the deck, and then inherit plus 2k on your turn. Pretty good searcher. One of the better ones to play out from the Melga Ace when attacking effect, just because it's really good for searching, as well as because of how much on-play reduction we have in the list. This is sometimes just like a free search top 3, and then one of your Digimon attacks with Alliance for an extra 1000 DP and security attack +1, which feels pretty good. This is also where the Mega Copicteriumon would come into play really well. Playing this guy out for free, Digivolve into the Bergemon for 2, and then Bergemon effect Digivolve into Mega Copicteriumon for free, and then give one of your level 5s gives Alliance and may attack because of that, and then just swing with that Mega Copicteriumon again for an extra 2 checks, which is pretty gross. It's pretty gross, I won't lie to you. 3 of the Gummamon, all turns your opponent can't gain memory other than by Tamer effects. Just a solid Floodgate in Archetype Floodgate 2. It's searchable, it's just good all around. I didn't like many of the other level 3s that are available to us in the structure deck, so I ended up going with this one, as it just seems pretty generically fine. And then finally we went with 4 of the Gabumon. The Your Turn effect can come up while your opponent has a Digimon with 10k or more DP, or your Tamers have 3 or more total colors. This Digimon may Digivolve into Melga in the hand for a cost of 4, ignoring its evolution requirements, which is convenient and pretty nice. But typically, you're just going to be Digivolving it into a level 4 because the Inherit is when attacking, once per turn, draw 1, and then trash 1, which makes it pretty solid, especially with the Sunomon. You're going to be quite happy most of the time. And then moving on to our level 4s, we are playing the same ratio of 4s, 11. We're playing 4 of the Bergemon, just on play with Digivolving. If your Tamers with the Adventure Trait have 3 or more total colors, this Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card with the Adventure Trait in hand without paying the cost. So something really nice about this card is that it's also an on-play. So it basically turns all of your level 5s into 4 costs if you have 2 Tamers out, which is really, really convenient. Especially if you have the Rusher as well. It just makes life really nice. So I do like this card a lot. I think it's one of the better ones, which is why I am playing it. 4 of the Gatomon security, at the end of battle, play this card without paying the cost, and then on play when Digirolling 2 of your opponent's Digimon get sec -1 until their turn ends. Just a really good card as well. It has, alright, this one has the Inherit plus 2k on your turn. This one has the Inherit when attacking, once per turn. One of your opponent's Digimon gets -2k for the turn. Both are just like solid Inherit, something too crazy, like nothing like game determinative. But just being able to hit the Gatomon in security really puts a lot of pressure on your opponent, as well as it being able to stop 2 checks on your opponent's side as well. It's actually really oppressive when you do hit. Of course, you don't get any of your level 5's effects because they specify only on your turn for the whenever one of your Digimon is played or Digivolved. But nonetheless, I still really like it a lot. It's also really good defensively because, again, we have a lot of play cost reduction. You can kind of just drop this thing down for like 1 to like memory, and you're very happy with just giving 2 things sec -1 until they're at the end of the turn. It's really nice. 3 of the Kabuterimon. This is just like the generic Tamer level 4 that we played in the list. When Digivolving, if you have 1 or fewer Tamers, you may play 1 Tamer card with the Adventure Trait from your hand without paying the cost. So it's always unfortunate in decks like these whenever you can't spit out multiple of your Tamers and it only lets you do it early on. But I mean, we do make do. We do make do. It's also, I think, the better of the level 4s that do this, just because this one does give piercing. I don't quite remember what the other one gives. Let me double check for you guys. It's the Angemon. I remember that. Let's see. Yeah, it just gives minus 2k inherit. That's it. Exact same when Digivolving, just the minus 2k inherit. I think the piercing plays a lot more into like the aggressive playstyle, which is why I'm playing it instead of the other one. You could also make the argument that you should play Togemon. It's the exact same as the Bergermon, except it has the inherit for plus 1k all turns. And if I was to cut anything, it'd probably be the Kabuterimon for the Toga. However, I do like the high roll nature of just being able to hit your Kabuteri really early on. I mean, that feels kind of nice. And then we're playing 10, level 5, playing 4, Garudamon. On play when Digivolving, whenever your Digimon gets plus security attack plus 1 for the turn, and then for every 2 colors your Tamers have, gets plus 2k DP. And then your turn, all the level 5s will have the second effect, which is whenever your other Digimon are played or Digivolve, if any of them have the adventure trait, one of your Digimon gains alliance for the turn, then one of your Digimon may attack. So this actually leans a lot into the combat step of the Digimon card game, which is very, in my mind, counterintuitive in the way that certain things work. Essentially, something to boil down is attacking is just like you're passing on all of your effects. So whenever you choose to attack, all the effects that are currently on the field have to be resolved before you can attack. And if it's during an attack, a new attack cannot start. And so essentially that effect will fizzle. So to give you an example, let's say I have Garudamon on field and Melga on field. I swing with Melga and I play out a Bio. That triggers the effect of the Garuda to give one of my Digimon alliance, and then one of my Digimon may attack. However, this attack is already happening, so I have to resolve this effect now, and I cannot start a new attack. So I can give Melga alliance, and then I'm not sure how that works. I know that if he has alliance in these inherits, which all of the level 5s have alliance inherit, you can alliance with the thing that you just played out. But I'm not sure if you give alliance to it mid-attack, it will be able to use the alliance. I'm not 100% sure on that. Check with your local judges for that information. Because in my mind, I guess the alliance wouldn't see the attack trigger happening. It would only be there after the attack trigger has already happened. So maybe it wouldn't trigger on that front, is my current idea. But nonetheless, again, it just gets very complicated with the way that the rulings end up working. So you wouldn't be able to use the effect to attack with one of your Digimon, as well as you wouldn't be able to save it until after the attack, because all the effects have to resolve before the attack goes through. So we would essentially just fizzle on the Garudamon effect, which is super, super sad, and I think really counterintuitive, but I understand why it works that way, because it'd be very strange to have like 6 attacks queued up all at once, because you have like, say, 2 or 3 Garudamons out, and then all 3 of them trigger, and then you attack, and then you attack, and then you attack, and they're all happening at the same time, quote unquote, and so you'd have to work in inverse order, and I think that would just make things a lot more complicated, but it does feel sad for a deck that definitely really wants to be able to do that. But nonetheless, we've got Angemon on play when Digivolving. One of your other Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card with the adventure trait in hand without paying the cost. Again, something that's really nice that you're capable of doing is if you say have a level 4 on field, like you just hit a Gatomon last turn, and you've got 2 Tamers, let's say it's the Matt and the Joe, you can play out Bird for 4, reduce the cost by 2, let's say put your opponent to 1. Bird effect, go into Angemon. Angemon effect, Digivolve the Gato into Garuda. Garuda effect, give it doesn't matter which one. You just give whichever one you're going to attack with the Sec +1, and then the Angemon trigger effect trigger to then make one of your Digimon have alliance, and then swing, and then you can alliance for quite large. And that was from 2 Tamers, the Rushing Matt and TK, and then any of your other ones, plus a Bergermon in hand and a level 4 on field. Like, it's really gross that you can just kind of do that. That's 3 checks from hand from pretty much nothing, which is really, really convenient. And then the last level 5 that we are playing is the Zudomon. It's just essentially the Zudomon Ace without the Ace upsides and downsides. On play, when Digivolving one of your opponent's Digimon, from one of your opponent's Digimon, trash any one Digivolution card for every 2 Tamers, then return one of their Digimon with 1 or fewer sources to hand. It's just good removal, especially with the option that we play. It gives us something to kind of defend ourselves with. There's not another like super crazy level 5. I think the only other one that's in like contention is probably the Lilymon. Again, the reason it works well is because of the option, which we'll get there in a second. But the Zudomon is good even without the option, in my opinion, whereas I think the Lily requires the option to be good, which I think is where they kind of get separated in that aspect. Let me go ahead. Speaking of level 4s as well, I apologize, come back to level 4s real quick. A good counterpart to Gatomon actually is the Ikakumon, which let me go ahead and pull up the Ikakumon. He's the other one that I've considered playing, because it is a really good inherit. Just at the end of battle, play this card Security. On play, trash 2 Digivolution sources from one of your opponent's Digimon. Then one of the Digimon with no sources can't attack or block until their turn ends, which can remove some stuff. I think it's a lot less defensive than the Gatomon one is, unfortunately, but its inherit is really nice because it's just a way attacking if you have 7 or fewer cards in hand, which you typically will in this list. You draw 1. This list is very feast or famine in the sense that you really will have smaller hand sizes because you don't have a great quote unquote like draw or like resource engine. The way that you'll be getting most of your resources is like the Zudomon getting stuff back from trash and then just trying to like make good use of what you have available to you, which will work a lot of the time, honestly. But it's definitely something to consider. And there's even an argument that dropping the Cockatariamon for 3 of these is a pretty solid option. Anyways, on to the level 6, we've got the Melga Ace. Just on play with Digivolving, you can, for every 2 of your Tamers colors, you can add 1 to the maximum level of this. You can return one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to the bottom of the deck. So if you have 2 Tamers out, anything besides the tie specifically. Okay, let me clarify. It's any 2 distinct colors. So obviously these 2 wouldn't work because you'd only have 3, but like these 2, however, would work quite well in tandem, and they would be able to bounce a level 6. And then if you have all 4 Tamers out, you can do a level 7. Which was nice. Or if you have tie plus any 3 combination here, you can do 7. So, really good there. When attacking, you may play 1 level 4 or lower Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. It gives you some really interesting on-play potential as well. I mentioned the Gatomon for some defensive stuff. I mentioned the Biomon for some searching. And then the Bergermon as well for setting up extra level 5s is also really, really nice. Unfortunately, the Angelomon specifies Digivolve into a card with the adventure trait in hand without paying the cost, which is super unfortunate, because if it didn't specify exactly that, you'd actually be able to do some really disgusting combos. So I'm glad they did, but also I'm kind of sad because this would become even more of like a toolbox. But if you have 2 level 4s and you have a level 4, a Bergermon in trash, a Melga Ace swinging in, and 2 Angelomons in hand, you just go swing, play Berdra, Evo into Angelomon, at level your evolve your other level 4 for free into Angelomon, evolve your other level 5 into either another Melga if you want to bounce something, or you can go into the Ace, the Wargray Ace, which is another card that you can definitely look at, because I think it's really good. I think both of the Aces are solid cards. Just on play with Digivolving until your opponent's turn ends. For every 2 colors of your Tamers, their Digimon effects don't affect one of your Digimon. So you can even make the Melga Ace and the new Wargray Ace immune to Digimon effects for the turn end for their next turn as well, making it essentially immune to being aced in return, which is really nice. And then when Digivolving, and when attacking, delete one of your opponent's lowest DP Digimon, which is also like good consistent source of removal. So definitely something to kind of like keep in mind. The reason I'm not playing it in this list is just because of the fact that they feel a little bricky sometimes. Yeah, you can cheat them out for cheap, especially if you have like 1 or 2 tamers. Like for every tamer you have, you essentially just reduce the cost by 1, which is really convenient. But I mean, they're aces, so you know your opponent can just get rid of them relatively easily and then immediately punish you for it, and it feels kind of sad. But moving on to the tamers, we are playing 4 of the Matsushita and TK Takaishi. Just being able to get rush on all your level 5s during your turn is gross. It's the one you want to see the most if you're playing this like more like tempo aggro style of deck. Just because, God, all of your Digimon getting rush is so powerful. All of your Digimon having rush is disgustingly strong. And I keep saying all of them because, honestly, if you get out your Birdra, you're going to be going up into the level 5 instantly. And then that level 5 can pretty much attack instantly as well if you have the level 5 out. And even if you can't attack instantly, as long as you keep turning, you can just hard play the level 5, and then boom, that's 2 checks right there. Like, it's just gross. It's just a gross time. It's just a really gross time. And then all of the tamers will have the same effect of when any of your Digimon with the adventure trait would be played from your hand, by suspending this tamer, reduce the play cost by 1. There's only one exception to that, and we'll get there. I'll talk about it when we get there. Joe and the Sora tamer both have the same start of your main phase. If you have adventure trait Digimon, gain 1 memory. And then, you know, the same secondary effect. The Kai and Izzy work the exact same as the Matt and TK, except instead of giving rush to your Digimon, your level 5 or highers, they give blocker to all of your adventure trait Digimon, which is really nice for protecting yourself after you kind of swing out very aggressively. You can threaten a lot of ace plays that work really well with the blocker that you get from the Tai and Izzy, as well as playing really well into the new option that we are playing. I also want to say that because it's opponent's turn only for the blocker, it plays really interestingly into cards similar to Garuda Ace, meaning that even if they ace you on your turn, you don't have blocker, and so you're not actually going to get punished for it, which I think is really cute. And then the final tamer that we play is the BT21 Tai. Just memory setter, and then whenever one of your Digimon attacks, by suspending this tamer, you draw 1. Then main, you would play 1 adventure or hero trait card with a play cost of 2 or less from your hand without paying the cost. For each of your tamer colors, add 1 to this effect's play cost maximum. Then return this tamer to the bottom of the deck. So this is actually something to keep in mind. It doesn't reduce the play cost. You play a card of that cost. I fucked that up in yesterday's tournament for Eagle X. I thought it just makes sense that they all just reduce the play cost, but no, it specifically plays a cost of that amount or less. So base, it plays a 3 cost Digimon for free while getting rid of your tamer, which is unfortunate. And then for every if you just have 1 other tamer, it immediately goes up to a 5 cost, which lets you play out any of your level 4s, which lets you get out your Birdjamon for free, which means that, you know, if you have 3 tamers out, any 3 unique tamers, one of them being the Tai, you can go Tai effect to play out Bird effect to Evo into level 5 for free, which is super good. Super good. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Obviously, it's one of the only cards in the list that gives us just plus advantage consistently, as well as being a memory setter, lets us not be choked as much as we normally would be. But, I don't know. I think the ratios are still definitely something I need to work on a little bit. And then finally into, I think, one of the strongest cards in the list. It's Arcourage United. While you have a Digimon tamer with the adventure trait on the field, you can ignore this card's color requirement. Main phase, you just draw 2, and you can place a card in your battle area. Then when any of your level 5 or higher Digimon would leave the battle area, it doesn't specify adventure trait for this, by the way. So any level 5 or higher Digimon, meaning that if you did toolbox into a different engine, you would actually be able to make use of those bodies more efficiently with this option. You can then play 1 level 5 or lower Digimon card with the adventure trait from your hand without paying the cost. This is where I mentioned the Lily and the Zudomon, because they're super good. They're typically the ones that you want to digivolve, or not digivolve, the ones you want to play out the most. Because Zudo typically like get rid of a body, and Lily, if your opponent is attacking during this point, will end up bottom decking at least one of their guys, which is super, super nice. If you do have the Tai and Izzy out, you immediately get a blocker as well. And then depending on when the attack happened, so let's say your opponent swings in with, we'll just say Sakuya, and they have 2 bodies on field. Your opponent swings in with Sakuya. When attacking, minus 4k to your Andrewmon. It was already at minus 6 from like a Digivolution plugin, so it dies. They're trying to play around like an ace. They swing in, it dies. You trigger the option to play out the Zudo ace. You strip some sources. You bounce like one of their bodies, and then you can ace them. If I'm understanding, again, combat is very weird in this deck. I'm having to play with a lot of like different combat mechanics, and I think you typically would have to, because it is now like in the counter timing effect. I can Melga ace them or Wargray ace them if I had that as well, and then it would have blocker from the Tai and Izzy, so I could choose to block that Digimon if I wanted to, which is super cool and interesting the way that it kind of plays out. I really like the list. Let me know what you guys think of the game. I'm sorry that I only got 1 game in. For some reason, I guess like the servers went down and stuff, and I do have to head out, so I cannot stay around and wait. And I do want to get the video up today. So thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, let's get into the games. Hey, what's up, gamers? Today I'm just gonna do a quick best of 1 adventure against your boy Sakuya. I think that adventure's surprisingly pretty good. We're actually going to turn the speed down a little bit, so I can give a better commentary over what's going on. It's only best of 1 because Drazel actually just went down while I was recording, so unfortunate as that is. The opener for adventure isn't too bad here, honestly. A rookie and a tamer feels pretty good. The Joe and Mimi tamer gives you a memory for your main phase if you have a adventure trait Digimon in play, and then it had like most of the other one, like every other of the tamers except for the new Tai, the white one. Whenever you play, whenever any of your Digimon cards with adventure trait would be played from your hand, you can suspend it to reduce the cost by 1. And the Gomamon is a memory blocker. I believe it is your opponent can't gain memory except for tamers while it's out, though it doesn't stick around for too long. We're hoping to hit off of the Kabuterimon there. If you have 1 or less adventure trait, 1 or less tamers, you may play 1 adventure trait tamer from your hand without paying the cost. Unfortunately, you do kind of just whiff, and we are going to go ahead and swing in and see what that's like. I'm going to try and avoid speaking on what the cards do explicitly, because I would have just gone over that in the card by card. I haven't recorded it yet, but that's what's happening after this. So we get to swing in. We expected it to die, so that way we could cycle the rookie back and then maybe just Evo into it next turn. But it does survive. We'll play out the Gato, reducing the cost by 3, which isn't too bad. If there's like any like huge misplays, I try to take it back as well, or if like the game just doesn't look like it's gonna be very competitive, I also try to take it back, like if someone like hard bricked and there's no coming back from it, for the sake of like good testing as well as for the sake of you guys watching this. So even though this hand may not look fantastic, I think it's still decent enough depending on what my opponent has, and luckily for me, my Sakuya opponent also is suffering a little bit. They had to hard play out the Tau Ace really early. Of course, they do have a lot of searching. They get the Sakuyamon out, they activate the Sakuya effect to draw 2, and then go straight into a Balder, suspending the Gato, making it so that we're not going to be able to get more chip. And honestly, this is a really hard Digimon to out. I know that adventure piles tend to only play like 1 or 2 different kinds of Digimon. One of them is the Wargray, which just deletes your opponent's lowest when it attacks, and since something's suspended right now, and he didn't have the rushing tamer yet, felt pretty safe in that front, as well as the bounce, but the bounce only does a bounce whenever it's for every 2 colors you bounce a level 4 or lower, and then for every 2 colors you add +1 to that. So with 4 colors out right now, he can only bounce at level 6. We do Digivolve into the Angewomon. Angewomon just says on play when Digivolving, one of your other Digimon may Digivolve into an Adventure Tree Digimon without paying the cost. Unfortunately, we don't have another level 5. And that does, in fact, cause turn to pass. I'm also going to mute this, because all that is happening on my end is just clicking. I just hear clicking. So, you know, trying not to have that be the little gimmick there. And I also will actually be speeding it up a little bit, just because, God, I take forever to think, dude. Like, what are you thinking about, dude? Holy, it's just Sakuya. Like, play faster, please. Just to clarify, I am both players here. So I go ahead and use the Digivolution plugin S to keep turn, go into the level 4 here. Just see if I can find any more pieces. We give sec -1 to the larger Angewomon, make it so that we're not going to be able to get any chip in, and then we also pop using the when attack inherit of the Sakuya Ace. We do end up blast evolving into the larger guy. There was an argument that I swing into it with the Balder to play around the blast Ace there, but I really just wanted to get the double check in, start threatening to kill, and I'm not too afraid of him at the moment. And then we play out another Rika and pass. Maybe it was right to kill the guy, but when it comes to playing against Adventure, they just feel very weird in the sense that I shouldn't have taken that sec off. That security should still be there, but you know, it doesn't. I don't think it matters in the long run. Just because I can, if I'm going to be able to kill, I'm probably gonna be able to overkill. The one attacking effect of the Metal Garurumon Ace is actually pretty solid in this list because you can play 1 level 4 lower Digimon from your, I believe it's your trash. I'm gonna pull up on the side actually, Digimon card .dev, so that way I can give you guys accurate gameplay knowledge. Hitting the one attacking to use the Biomon effect. We do get sec +1 here, +1k. I should only do 1 check, but you know, we're just cheating. The 1 level 4 Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. So it has to be specifically from the trash, unfortunately, so you don't have the utility of being able to do it from trash or hand, but it doesn't matter too much. Being able to get that play for free is actually insane in the deck. It lets you do an obscene amount of things. In fact, it's so good that I kind of want to play the other Ace as well, just because being able to go into a level 4 and then Digivolve into the Angewomon and then Digivolve another guy into the other Ace, making your guys just immune to Digimon effects, it seems really good. The Zudomon is actually crazy too. I recently put it in, I think of all the level 5s, I think the Garurumon, the Angewomon, and the Zudomon are the best 3. The Lulymon has application, but requires your opponent to basically be suspended by itself already, just because you cannot be bouncing, you can't suspend anything besides your opponent's 5k or lower DP Digimon. And then the Magna is pretty solid, honestly. It's got the, place one of your opponent's 6k or lower Digimon as their top security, and then you add 2k for every 2 colors that you have. So you can get decently big, but you need 3 different tamers to actually be able to place anything notable, which is a shame because you don't really care about placing their level 5s or 4s too much. And then we will pass turn by playing out the, so actually this is a really cute play. I do like this, that this is something you can do. So assuming that we did pass turn there, which we didn't obviously, but assuming that we did, this play would trigger this guy to give one of your Digimon Alliance, and then it can swing into attack. So we just obviously give this guy Alliance, and then we Alliance here, and that's 2 more checks. So if we had played it properly, my opponent would be on 1 security right now. Luckily, I can't kill them this turn, so I feel pretty happy that the -1 security actually didn't end up mattering. But both of the aces in these adventure piles, I think, are really strong. I just prefer the Melga right now, just because it's I think better removal and has more value to it, which is super good. Oh right, the other ace, the other ace, the level 5, the Mega Copiteriumon is one of your Digimon unsuspends. Then for every 2 colors your tamers with the adventure trait have to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. This is actually a really good one as well. I don't play any of it, but it's actually really good for aggro. So something that you can do is go Angelmon, alliance check 2, and then play something out, like play out a guy for a rookie, trigger the effect to evolve one of your level 4s and make a Kabuterimon. It unsuspends, and then you can swing in and, you know, get like an extra check in, which is really nice. Let's see, Sakuya Ace, not Sakuya Ace, Sakuya Mon X Antibody. They don't have the tokens for the new ones on Drazel yet, so I've been having to make do. That is the 9k rushing token. We are getting the draw here. I'm pretty sure I'm just looking for a 5k to try and prevent my opponent from being able to kill me on the crackback. Because we're looking for, specifically, I think it was Ruin mode to scramble into, and then we would play out an Ace, Digivolution plug an S into Sakuya, and then scramble again into Ruin, and that would give him minus 10k blanket. And the only play that Adventure has at that point would be the Ace cards, the Ward Ray or the Melga. We end up not being able to find it, but we do find Venus, so we will just do essentially a similar play where we stun his board as much as we can, preventing him from getting out as much on plays as possible, and then Venus preventing his Digivolution as well as giving his whole board sack -1. Really just trying to like buy time, but unfortunately we do have lethal on board. You can see me counting for the tie currently. The tie just says, you know, the minus reduce play cost by 2 and then +1 for every color. So we have white, purple, yellow, blue, green. So we can do we can play something with a play cost of 7 or less by bottom decking the tie, which is the Garuda. Garudamon on play for the turn, one of your Digimon gets sec +1 and plus 2k DB for every 2 colors your opponent, your Digimon sources have, your Digimon tamers have, which is 4, and then we swing in, so that's a neutral check, and then even if we were lacking that, we could just play out a rookie here if we wanted, and that could trigger the Garuda Ace to alliance check again, meaning that even if there was one security left, we could still kill through this position. And unfortunately, no blocker, because they did have to go. They did go into the Sakuya 8X antibody pretty rapidly. But that's the game. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I think the adventure stuff is actually really good.